You see this? I feel like she's judging me because I don't think I look as cool in my sunglasses as she does. What's Shakin' Bacon's holy macaroni? I love the original Men in Black. So I was on two fences about seeing Men in Black International. The first reason is that I love the first one so much. I honestly don't think that anything could possibly even hope to live up to it for me. I didn't even see the third one because I had heard how terrible it was, and I was like, I'm not going to taint my memory of the original with that film. But I had some hopes for this one. This was directed by F. Gary Gray, and it was written by Art Markham and Matt Holloway, and the original producers from the first films returned. Walter Parks and Laurie McDonald came back to produce this film, so I had some optimism for this. Also, we see the same duo that came in with Thor and Valkyrie in the Avengers with Tessa Thompson and with Chris Hemsworth in this one, and all I can imagine is that the casting director or the director themselves, or maybe the writers, really loved seeing them play off of one another in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, and so they decided to bring them back for this Men in Black International. Before I get too much into it, I want to make a note. This review will be non-spoilers because while there is some extra plot points outside of what you can see in the trailer and what I'm about to summarize for you, there's not a whole lot extra, and this is definitely not a film that I'm going to be going in depth with because, quite frankly, this is a fun film and it is not meant to be a film to dissect or really explore, I think. So Men in Black International is about the new Agent M, who is Molly, who somehow manages to track down the New York headquarters of the Men in Black organization and attempts to infiltrate them and is subsequently recruited to become an agent. She gets sent to London to work with Agent H, played by Chris Hemsworth, on a case where they suspect there may have been someone compromised within the Men in Black organization itself. Their goal is to discover who the traitor is and save the planet in the meantime, which is generally kind of the plot with these sort of films. It's also not a very unique plot theme, right? We have seen movies with this theme repeatedly before, where there's some kind of mole in the organization. You can't trust your superiors, you can't trust the organization, except the twist this time, of course, is that it is Men in Black. So there are aliens involved. This movie isn't the worst movie. It's not the best movie, but it's a fun movie. It is a fun summertime movie. Do not go into this film expecting beautiful things out of the plot. This movie is not made to do that. This movie is made to be a good time and make you laugh and enjoy yourself and remind you of the first film. And I will say it definitely does that. The music, the style choices, some of the plot decisions, and the way that the characters are written will remind you a great deal of the first film, and that is a good thing. I think that this film feels more along the original vein of the first Men in Black than the sequel did, and from what I've heard, the third one, again, I spared myself seeing that one, so I can't specifically speak to the third film myself. This film kept things light. They expanded the Men in Black universe. You got to see different aliens, the different interactions. You got to see sort of the underworkings of the Men in Black organization that you see hinted in the previous movies. You get to see more of how their world operates and works and how they all interconnect. One thing I particularly enjoyed, and I'm gonna make note of this especially because I am not a huge fan of club scenes in films. I just think they're so overdone. With that said, there is an amazing club scene in this movie, and it straight up reminds me of Mass Effect because there are so many different aliens and interactions that you encounter there, and I freaking loved it. There are aspects of this film that are incredibly impressive and are so fantastical and full of imagination that I would say it's worth seeing this movie alone just to see what they've expanded the universe with. And it works really well that they did not try and replicate the original, like Will Smith and Tommy Lee Jones, because that would have been just trying to revive. It would have been like trying too hard. This way, you have a different area, you have a different team. It's basically, you know, a buddy cop movie with aliens is what this is. And it works very well for what it is and what you can expect out of it. And that is genuinely what the true roots of the Men in Black movie was. Men in Black as a film did not originally come out expecting to be a trendsetter or remake the genre or change things. It came out literally, this is a series about buddy cops with aliens. And it came out, I feel, during like that era of just buddy cop everything. And then you added in Tommy Lee Jones' serious nature, you add in Will Smith's sarcasm, and you've got this amazing buddy cop film with this crazy extraterrestrial element to it. And they were able to bring that full feeling back in this movie, which is fantastic. There are some fun cameos. You see painting tributes to Agent W and Agent K in this. And you've got the little worm guys hanging out. And you've got Frank the Pug, which was fun. I've always loved Frank the Pug. This movie really just suffers from two primary issues, I think. The first of which is its pacing. The pacing in this movie is boom, 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 boom in the first act. It is so rapid fire that it doesn't give you a lot of time to process the leaps in logic and help you connect the dots for how we're getting from one scene to the next. It's still digestible, but it is very rapid paced, especially compared to the second act, which drags. The second act really started to drag for me, and I was enjoying the film. It is a fun film, but it hits a slowdown point in the second act to the point where I was like, okay, can we wrap this up? Like, can we get to the third act? Because I know that's where most of the action is going to come back in based on what I've guessed of the plot so far. So the second act kind of drags. The first act is a little too rapid paced, in my opinion. I wish they had evened those two sections out and the pacing would have been great. And that kind of leads into the second major issue with this film, which is not so much of an issue, but it's just that the plot is really predictable. You're going to know immediately who the bad guy is. You're going to know immediately who the traitor is in the organization. It's not even something you have to guess that hard at. You look at them. I'm going to say them so I don't give anything away, but you're going to look at this person, you're going to go, yep, you're the traitor. It's just really like, it is a foregone conclusion. You know exactly what's going to happen. There is a minor twist toward the end that helps them realize, oh, I think I know who the traitor is. And the minor twist is very reminiscent of what they did in Captain Marvel. And again, that's a often utilized way of handling a plot like this. It's just very predictable, which again is not necessarily a bad thing. Even though you can predict where the story is going to go, that doesn't mean that you don't enjoy the story as it goes there. In some movies, it's predictable to the point where you lose all kinds of enjoyment and appreciation for the film. In this one, it's not that bad. You know where it's going, but the journey and the details of how they get to where it is going is still very enjoyable, and it's still worth watching. The acting was very well done. I love Emma Thompson. I loved Liam Neeson in this. Chris Hemsworth did a good job. I will say the only actress in this that I actually had some quibble with was Tessa Thompson. I don't deny that she is a good actress, but at this point I've seen her in several different films, and I gotta be honest, she kind of has the same uniformity and traits that she brings to every role that I have seen her in, and it's starting to become very repetitious in her performances, and I just don't think she's bringing enough unique flavor to these characters to make me buy into the fact that she's actually being a different person in each of these roles that she's cast in. So for me, I think I took some points off for Tessa Thompson. Again, she wasn't bad, but I'm starting to see a lot of the same acting traits, and she did not sell me on the nature of this character. It felt like she was acting because I could see those same traits that she's brought from other roles into this one. So for me, she was not the greatest in this film. At the end of it all, this is a fun summertime flick. You don't want to think too much about it, and so I'm not going to. My final verdict for Men in Black International is we have got a fair amount of bacon in the pan here with this one. I would recommend seeing this if you are a fan of the original Men in Black. This is very, very stylistically, musically, thematically familiar to the original, and not in a way that is egregious or overblown. And I think if you liked the original, you will like this film. It is spades better than the second one, and from what I understand, way better than the third one. So I would definitely recommend, if you want to go see a fun movie, not think too much about it, just enjoy yourself and go along for a ride, go check out Men in Black International in theaters. For me, Usually when you get to this point in a series that kind of feels like maybe the series should have stopped with the first one, I'm like, please just stop. However, with this film, I feel as though the first Men in Black spirit has been revived, and it makes me excited about the universe again, to the point where I'm kind of like, I wouldn't mind seeing some like books on this series. I wouldn't mind maybe writing some fan fiction, like a real dork about this series, because they've opened up this world enough for me to see the possibilities in it. And I really enjoy that. So tell me if you agree with me or not, or what your thoughts are on this. And I hope you're all doing amazingly and the start of summer. Oh, I don't have a neuralizer, but poof, I'll get you later, Bacons.